Welcome, everyone. This is once again your host, Shailesh, bringing you live with a topic that is really, really important today for me to talk and for my guest speaker who is going to be with me. And what a topic that we are going to discuss today is humanity. Now, humanity can be, described and interpreted in so many ways and so many things as a matter of fact, as words. However, humanity in action is what we are going to discuss about and talk about and have an interactive session. Like, how do we take those actions that people can judge us, or people can say that, yeah, that's a good humanitarian act, or that's the humanitarian something that we have been asked or embedded within us, but we don't show off that humanitarian quite often. Sometimes we want to just suppress that humanitarian that's sitting inside us, and people are expecting to express that humanitarian. So humanitarian is nothing but the deeds that we do, the actions that we take. And this is very so simplified, but we make it bigger because it's a label that we want to give to ourselves when we do something. Whereas the humanitarian itself doesn't need any identification. It's just the action that you take. You don't need to go to the temple to ask someone, but that's a humanitarian for yourself, that you are doing a service to yourself. And that's what you are basically saying, that, okay, I am a human, I need to be with humans, but I am a human, I need to be with the higher power as well. And that's something I want to start this topic. But before I dive into it, I would like to welcome my host and guest speaker today, Cecily, who we did last week only. We did a topic called, spirituality and religion. And this is quite kind of related to this, because every religion, every spirituality aspect always talks about humanity and humanitarian, human deeds that we are born for. So, welcome, Cecily, for this beautiful episode, Humanity Today. And I would like to welcome Cecily, and please tell us how do you think, why are we doing this topic, and why it is important to talk about humanity in today's world, the way we see, the way we look at, in your words. Let's
Thank
start
you,
with that.
Shailesh. Okay, I appreciate you inviting me on. Your topics are always the deep, needed topics that I love to hear and to listen to. Humanity. That I think humanity can come natural to anybody, but it's the natural man that pushes that away, right? So when we can foster our own humanity within us, where we are thinking about others and acting upon, because we were talking a little bit before the podcast, we were talking about how we can foster a sense of humanity through just doing acts and not just words, but acting on it. And that is the most important thing, is to not just sit there and let these ideas go, but to actually act on those ideas or the inspiration we get to help others. And I think that's a big part of humanity, is to take those things that we feel inside of us can help others and then act on them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the important part to all the listeners who are listening today, we are doing this topic, humanity, which is amazing, because let's dissect into and let's interpret my version, your version, and what you think and what we think as humanity act should be, or we can do, basically, because there is nothing in this universe that we can't do, because we are born, as Cecily mentioned, we are born with that humanity inside us, within us, and we just have to let it out, basically, every time, not just once in a time, or not just to those people who you know or who you think needs help, but to anything and everyone who are humans, because the word humanity comes from humans, which means it has got no religion, it has got no color, it has got nothing attached to it. It is just pure humans. And we all humans are so beautiful, uniquely made into different colors and into different things. However, our one major goal is humans and humanity. So let's start with this topic where when we say about, okay, what does religion says about humans and humanity? What does, the spiritual aspect of being who we are says about humanity? And how do we interpret this humanity? So, Cecily, I think when we look at as a child, when we look at as a teenage, and when we grow up as humans, when we are born, everything starts from there. Because if you look at the mother, the father, the uncle, the aunties all around us, the friends, the colleagues, they have got nothing expectations from we as a child. They just love us unconditionally. They just teach us, guide us unconditionally. Do you think that also starts from there as a humanity? Because that's where there is nothing attached to it, but it's just giving, giving, giving. And humanity is all about, giving. But then we decide and define. But let me just ask you this as a child. What I said just now is like, people start giving us without even asking, without even unconditional expecting anything. What do you think about that as a gesture or as a something that act that they do? They don't say
Yeah, no,
what
I
act.
yeah, I think that's a beautiful concept because the family unit and a family could be just a mother and a child or a father and a child
Correct.
or a child and a grandparent, right? That's a still a family unit. And so being able to have that example from a caregiver or a family member, it's wonderful to be able, as a child, see that example of their giving
Mm.
freely because they just give, right? Taking care of every
Mm.
single need as a child.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful example to me of humanity, of the start, right? The start
At the
of
start.
humanity.
Yeah. Then we come into consciousness, we come into our learnings, we understand, we study, we gain knowledge. And then when we gain knowledge, we start becoming, choosing our knowledge into different directions. Like, okay, this, now we identify, oh, this comes from this background, this comes from this intelligence, that comes from this amazing different parts of humans that we see when we grow up. When we grow up, we learn and we understand. But then now, when we learn more, we start to actually divide the humans into different segments. But as a child, there is no boundaries, there is no division, there is nothing, right? And this is something I want to touch on. And what's your views on it when we grow up? Why do we behave like this? Or why do we do this? Or is it natural? But then we also have a choice to become natural on our own rather than what we see and act and what we see and believe. Because as you said rightly, we said everything is within us, the humanity. But then we start looking at others and take those decisions. How do you see that as, when we grow up or when we become consciousness or when we study? Isn't it actually when we educate ourselves, we should know more about humanity rather than when we don't have not studied? How do you define this?
I think it's actually comes from experience,
Mm,
right? People that are acting on us and the examples that they give to us, I think forms a lot of our humanitarian ideas. I
mm,
mean, yes, we can learn once we get that consciousness or the ability to think for ourselves. Of course, we can educate ourselves.
mm,
But as a child, when we are acted on, um, it really does form our opinions, I think, about humanity, whether it's a negative act or a
mm,
positive act. It
mm,
can form our whole opinion. And some people can get past that opinion and go and study for themselves and other people don't. I think they hold on to that opinion for their whole lives or part of their lives.
mm,
And so experience, I
mm.
think, teaches us what humanity is.
And you said very well, experience teaches us. So experience is something that, when something happens to ourselves as a human, when something we experience as a human rather than somebody else experiencing that. Say, for instance, we see on the street or on the road, somebody has fallen down and hurt, and then it's because it's somebody. But if that happens to us, the whole perspective changes, isn't it? How do you then? We may take an action when somebody is there, or we may not take an action when somebody is there. But when we fall, we expect somebody should take an action, and we expect somebody should come to our rescue. How do you see this as a humanitarian concept that we are discussing today?
Ah,
What do you think?
that yeah, no, you brought up the perfect point
Mm.
because like just through and you know some of my story,
Yeah.
but going through this pain and having to deal with suffering, deal with feeling lonely, feeling fear,
Mm.
having to go through all of that alone and trying to get out of that.
Mm.
Now I don't want other people. It hurts my heart when I see other people going through that because of my experience. So I want to act and
Mm.
help other people that are going through those things. And not only that, I can recognize it. I can see it when people are going through these difficult times because of my experience.
Mm. I agree. And this person, yeah. So yeah, so this is something very interesting. I noticed that in as a humanitarian aspect or humanitarian deeds or human are capable of doing so many things, but then they restrict themselves with fear or with lots of fear in them and lots of empathy, sympathy. We have to bring it on rather than suppress it, because we all have empathy and sympathy, but then we suppress it as per our convenience. We suppress it as per our mind sets, or as you said rightly before, that part of the things people just continue doing part of their life. They don't realize what they are doing, and they only realize when the events happen in their life or happens to them. So this is something very interesting to understand as a humans, like where all we can show humanity. Is there a particular place? Is there a particular situation, circumstances that only is it like a seasonal that humanity is shown or acted on only in certain aspects? Or what is your kind of view on where all we can show our humanity? What would
Mm.
you say?
Well, um, I mean, we can always, I mean, every day, right? In our daily lives, we can show humanity.
Hmm.
There is no limit
Hmm.
to what we can do and
Correct.
how much we can help others. There's just no limit to it. I just think that
Yeah.
there isn't. I do believe that our perspectives really play a big part in how we view humanity, and it sets us back. We feel limited
Hmm.
on, oh, can I really help this person? Oh, can I really do this?
Hmm.
And it's our own limiting beliefs that I
Hmm.
think stop that moving forward in action to
Hmm.
helping somebody and doing something, some humanitarian cause, or just a small act, because there's can be small acts, right? Just
Yeah.
little acts of humanity.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we saw during COVID, like, everybody was sailing in the same boat. And then we expected that, okay, we are now same. For the first time, we thought that we are all same. We are all one. First time the universe gave us this resonating that no matter where you come from, no matter how much money or material things you have, your situation and everyone's situation is same. And for the
My
first,
gosh, what a great point. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I never
no,
thought
no,
about COVID in that way,
yeah,
ever. Like you just totally opened up my perspective about COVID that yeah,
yeah.
it did kind of bring us on that same level. Everybody was in the same boat.
Hmm. And that's where people were like bogged down, or they thought, oh, there's no difference between you, whether you have money or not. What you need is to talk to me. What I need is to smile at you. That's all we need. And there's nothing attached to it. For the first time, we saw there is no attachments required. But what is required is just that pure human aspect, which is as a child, you will love everyone. That's all it needed at that time. No matter how much big, how much small, how much money you have or not, what we needed only is to love and care for each other because we are all gonna be in the same, we were all in the same situation. So that brings me
Yeah.
also the other aspect of humanity, which I noticed is like, people say that, oh, just by helping people doesn't means humanity, or I have got money, that means you don't expect me to just throw away my money to everyone and say that I've done a humanitarian work or humanitarian deed. And we understand some of the perspectives of many people, how that can change that, okay, I don't want you to give just be on purely on humanitarian ground. And then some people say that, oh, is it the need that we are fulfilling, or is it the wants we are fulfilling of humans? What are we doing, basically? But this is not, I personally feel this is not about the needs and the wants, because then becomes a conditional. Whereas humanitarian doesn't have any conditions, according to my scene. But I understand the point of view that people can come with, that I want to help, but I don't want to help because you have got this, you have got that, and you can do this and you can do that. So I'm not going to help you. But that is because you are making a conscious, informed choice of that. And that act could be an act where we think, oh, he's right about doing that way or thinking that way. But then you could be in that similar situation at any given point of time, or your people or your loved ones could be. And that's where we need to take a pause before we take those informed choices and see what happens if this is me. What would have been the situation if I was in their position, you know? And so, how do we draw a line is all individual based, but the humanity doesn't stop anywhere or restrict anywhere, as you said. It starts every single moment and every single day, every single situation, every single circumstances, every single environment that we are in. We need to show up that particular deed, right? How do you
Exactly.
see that, Cecily? What's your kind of take on these needs and the wants and the helping? Or helping is only money, helping is only material, or helping means what? Or humanitarian doesn't have any attachment. So how do we see this humanitarian aspect, or the deeds?
Yeah. Good question. So I view humanitarian as filling a need that does not enable, okay, can't enable them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or doesn't take away their free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm constantly looking for, okay, how can I fill a need that is good? And I think that's where the humanitarian comes into play is you're not taking away somebody's free agency. If somebody doesn't want to help or they don't want help, don't give them help. That's not humanitarian, right?
True, true, true.
And then
Agree.
right, and then somebody who is you are enabling them, you're giving them all these things but they're not learning for themselves.
Mm.
That's also not humanitarian. So the humanitarian part is where you find that line of truly what somebody needs or a group of people community needs, and
Mm.
then filling that need in the best
Mm.
possible way.
I want to ask you this amazing question, which we notice every single, as you said, day in and day out, and every single moment and wherever circumstances. Like, say you're traveling in a bus, traveling in a train, traveling in a public transport, and you find people of who cannot be 100% walk or 100% sit or stand. So disability could be one of the restrictions for a human. Or, how do you make those gestures of humanity in the public area where we allow them to, you look at them first before you sit, that who is there that I can allow them to sit first. depending on the situation, circumstances. And these little things, then people look at it and they say, oh, that's a great gesture, or that's a great humanitarian act, that way. This is just one we see on a day-to-day basis that we come across with humans of all kinds, kids, women, age old, and we can show humanitarian to any age. It doesn't have any age limits, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And even just a smile or, hey, how are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Just an interest in somebody's well-being.
Mm,
That's right there being a humanitarian
mm.
because you are putting an interest in them. And that's what humanity is all about.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about the aspects of attachments, detachments of a human, because we are all born here and then we accumulate a lot of things. And then some are able to accumulate a lot, some are not able to accumulate anything or very little. But then we have got these abnormalities and differences of so many humans because we are unique. So we cannot be same. So we cannot paint with the same brush to everyone and anyone. Even the mindsets are different, even the thought process is different, everything is different. Yet we have to showcase this human aspect, which is humanitarian. We still have to showcase this, no matter what mindset you are in, no matter whether you have or not have, right? How do you see that? How do you view that? And what are the acts that you think comes to your mind that, oh yeah, we don't need all of that, irrespective, or we don't need to be intelligent to understand, or we don't need to be, well educated for that. The
Yeah,
common
no,
sense
it
prevails, right?
exactly. Yeah, you don't need to have a lot of education to
Mm,
be a humanitarian. You
mm,
don't. I mean, I think just having having a sense about people and looking around, right? Because that's what I have to do is I look around at people and see and actually take interest in what they're doing. So when you take, like I was explaining, when you take interest in them,
mhm,
um, you never know. I had this beautiful experience one time where
mm,
I was at an airport
mhm,
and a lady, she was standing behind, she was a barista, she was standing behind the little coffee counter, and I went up to go buy a drink and she looked at me and she's like, oh my goodness, dear, you're so beautiful, what a beautiful soul, you are just so amazing. And I'm
mm,
like, this woman didn't know me, she had no idea who I was,
mhm.
but she made such a difference in my life because she saw that I had a need, right? Maybe I looked tired or sad or and that's what I think anybody can do.
That's right. That's right. I think, there was one small article a few days ago where I came across. I didn't probably looked at in detail, but in today's world, people talk about unemployment. There's a lot of loss of jobs and all that. So there was a very humorously, it was said that, okay, do we have any job? Old man is been asked. The young kid says that, okay, there is a lot of job, but the old man says, for unemployment for employment, at the moment there is a shortage in preaching or endorsing or promoting humanity. And there's a shortage of people who can, be employed as humanitarian. So was very interesting to see that, okay, we do have, because it is like an employment that we do humanity deeds, and it is like employed and within with us, and we have to keep doing that work, irrespective of whatever circumstances we are in. But getting to my another thing of resonating with the humans and the humanitarian is, the negatives and the negatives, because people talk about like, okay, we've taking actions on your deeds. If someone takes an action thinking, someone may think it's a good gesture or humanitarian, someone may say, oh, that's selfish, or that just taking for advantage or trying to take a credit for something. that is just to show off. And that's quite happening at the moment. So we have less and less humanitarian people thinking that, oh, I don't want to do it because I will be looked at as a advantage taking, or I will be looked at as just doing it selfishly rather than selflessly. How do you see that as Cecily? It's a very kind of a fine line at times.
That, yeah, that's a difficult question because I've actually been experiencing this myself lately. And I guess just being the person that you are and showing people that it's not done selfishly, but just
Mm.
being truly your authentic self, people will eventually they'll see that.
Mm.
And that's going to come back to you, tenfold.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It does rebounds, isn't it? That's why they say the karma or the deeds, whatever we deeds, we have to face the consequences. So I think from a personal point of view, we should all try to think that whatever we do and whatever we take action, it does affect and impact on others. And that itself is something awareness that not many people are aware of it, I personally feel. They do it for completion point of view. They do it just as a task. They do it as just to finish it off. All their acts are just to take actions to complete certain activity, complete certain task. But then when you think a little bit consciously and add to it this aspect of consciousness, then you see a lot of human aspects come into this picture. And then you take those actions quite wisely, consciously, and then no matter whether you show humanitarian or not, because it still shows off. The humanitarian comes out. That's what I've noticed. How do you see that? What do you feel about it?
Um, as far as showing off, is that what your question is? As you feel like you're showing off because you're being a humanitarian? Um, well, I don't know if I look at it that way as
Hmm.
far as, I mean, yeah, some people do that, but I always come back to when you are yourself, right? And you're doing this in your daily life,
Hmm.
people are going to see it. They're
Hmm.
going, instead of just a one-time show off, oh, hey, look what I did, right? If you're doing it constantly in your life, they're going to see that's the person you are.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I want to this also talk about people who have shown and who have done certain deeds. And it doesn't matter in their lifetime, they may have done only one act of humanitarian. It doesn't matter. They still have done it. That's the main point. And every humans have got an opportunity to do one act. But if they do continuously, that's great. But if they don't, that's still great because they have still done that one act. And recently, I wanted to pinpoint this. Recently, one of the industrialists in India who passed away recently, just a few weeks ago, um, he was an industrialist, he was a businessman, and he's one of the highest regarded, credible person. And he was instrumental in, I would say, strongly and very easily in shaping up the country, India, before independence and after independence to become what India is today, purely based on his humanity. So money is not everything. It's the humanity. What do you do with the money? And why do you earn money? Is it for one person or is it for the whole community? And so he looked after every single community, irrespective of where they come from, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their language. And he developed literally every single state almost in India. And I could not, have a better example. I always say that he is Sir, I call him Sir Ratan Tata, is another name of humanity. We don't need to say his name, it's a humanity. That's his name. And very few people come like that who says that you don't have to take my name, but just recognize me by my deeds. And that's It's very powerful. So recognizing the deeds is what humanity is all about, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Even if it's just one deed, that's
Hmm.
still enough.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with that. We don't all have to do big, great things, right? We
Exactly.
can do just one small thing.
Yeah.
If it reaches one person and we help one person, that's a win.
Hmm. 100%. 100% I agree. And I mean, COVID showed a lot of countries taking that humanitarian aspect of one act. They did. And I mean, I am also quite lucky to have come into or stayed in a country where our leaders, at that time, Jacinda was the leader, and she did showed one act of humanitarian, and she did, showed that we can come together as one unit and we can help everyone at that point. So, irrespective of what people's views are, at the end of the day, that deeds gave the outcome what the country needed. And when you look at, you don't realize at that time when the action is taken. It's only after a few years we realize that action led to what we are today. Because actions can break or make, but then when it turns out in a positive for it, that's where you realize that, oh no, that act was really great. And we need more and more acts like that from people, right?
Yeah, I started reading a good book, How to Change the World by David Bornstein.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the people that he lists are people that took action just small, like it started out really small and
Mm-hmm.
then turned out something very big that they did for humanity. And the thing that I learned is that people wouldn't give up, right? They kept doing, they kept trying, and usually those things would take years to
Mm.
manifest. Like you
Absolutely.
said, it'll take years to find the fruits or the benefit from it. But these people didn't give up. And I think that's part of humanity, is not giving up on humanity, but continuing to try and move forward on those actions.
I also want to, we are just coming to we will end up soon, but I just wanted to highlight this one aspect of humanity. And it's like, people have this identity or labels, or they try to take credits and all that we were discussing before. Like, okay, sometimes people do act like as if they are doing a humanitarian act, or sometimes they are genuinely doing. But the reality is, when a person acts selflessly, when a person acts without any expectations, without any knowledge, without any, media or any coverage, that's the real humanitarian aspect that I consider. Because this person who I was talking about, Ratan Tata, he never gave any media interviews. You were never into the media limelight. He was always behind the scene doing everything. And he never stood up with politicians or with anyone associated with. He did his, kept on doing his deeds. So I personally feel that these act who are not there for limelight, but after they're gone and after they pass away, then we realize so many gestures they've done in their life. And humanitarian, what he showed as well is looking and caring for the animals as well in his lifetime. So, I mean, this is where I like to, understand and make understand to myself and to all listeners that in my view, you don't need to be, advertised that what you are doing. You just keep doing silently what you want to do, selflessly, without any expectations. And then the human aspect of yours and humanity that we think what is humanity will automatically be resonated, because there is no such thing as one act of humanity. There are many acts of humanity. So you just can't pinpoint that if I do this, then I will be considered as a human. No, there is nothing of that sort. There's no silver bullet for humanity. Everything is good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, yes, actually it does. Yeah, there are too many numerous things to count. We just couldn't count them all
Yeah.
those little acts. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, I think to all the listeners, this is a beautiful topic, humanity, that we all want to, be in that league of humans, that we are made up of humanity. We all humans are made up of humanity, but we are also in that league of humanity to, just like we want to win certain things in life and we want to achieve certain things in life, we want to resonate with certain things in life. I think humanity is something that we should all be looking for resonating with rather than anything else. Because being human is the only way you can say that you are a human being. That's
And
what,
it's the way to find fulfillment,
yeah.
right? As a
So,
human being, that's what fulfills your being.
yeah, that's what fulfills. That's what from me. Your final word on humanity, Cecily. Tell us.
Okay. Well, I think humanity to me, it's like when I see people trying to do things in the media, I think even them I cannot judge because I don't know
Correct.
exactly, right, what they're doing, what they're trying to do. It may seem like maybe they're doing it for other reasons, and I'm sure that there are times where that happens. But when people try to do good things for the humanity, I try to give them the benefit, right? Because I can't judge. I don't know why the reason, even if it looks like they're doing something for themselves, you just never know,
Yeah.
right? And that's the beauty of humanity, is that sometimes we don't know everything that's underlying or the reason behind it.
Hmm.
And I think that's beautiful. That's another topic, right? Getting
Yeah.
into the soul of why you're trying to do something good for somebody else.
Correct.
But even that can trickle out where somebody may have other motives, but then eventually, because they're doing something good, it can hit their heart or touch their soul.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Cecily. This is once again a beautiful topic that we came along with. And with that note, I want to just finally say that please keep doing your human acts that you are born for. You are not born as an animal, you're born as a human. So please make your actions count every time you do, whether it is for your friends, family, relation, strangers, doesn't matter. We all are humans. We all are here. We all are one. We all are connected. And that has been proved once again through the nature of COVID, that we are all one. And there is nothing stopping us or nothing we should be separating by divisions, by color, by religion, by caste, by intelligence, by education. We can't differentiate ourselves. These are just aspects and attributes of individual, unique humans that we are made up of. But then we come together anyway because we can't do without each other anything. On our own, we can't do anything. That means we have to come together. We have to do those little acts and, little smiles that we have been given to smile to someone, to help someone, to just lend a hand to someone. It doesn't matter whether that person is using you, abusing you, but what matters is your intentions. And your intentions will ultimately count as a human aspect and as a humanity. That's all I can say for this topic at this moment. We will come back again, but with another topic. And I like to see the positives of talking positive things is the only way. That's why my channel, also NZ World News, always talks about positives and solutions-based positives. So thank you, Cecily, for once again coming to my show and then
Thank
making
you, Shailesh.
amazing, amazing topic.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for always bringing the positivity. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Thank you very much. Bye for now. All the way.